guys. We're going to start our watercolor project today. As you know, last class we simply found a reference. For those of you who are in person, I gave you these sweet posters. As you already know, we're working with landscapes, more specifically something from Europe. I want architecture in there, I want depth in there, meaning there should be a front and a back, a foreground and a background. And I want these to be something we really care about because we're going to be spending the next 2 or 3 weeks on these, okay? Now today, since you've already found your reference, I want to go ahead and walk you through how to prep what we're going to be working on. So if you have not come by the school, you need to come by and get one of these. These are large sheets of white Bristol board paper. These are going to be really helpful for you to work on. This project's not going to work well just on regular sketchbook paper, so you need to make sure you have one of these, all right? Next, if you're at home, I would say you could tape this down to a table. If you're in person, I'm gonna give you one of these nice boards. You're gonna need to go ahead and have a surface you can tape your watercolor down to. That might even be like a nice big sheet of cardboard that you have left over from a box or something like that. But it is important when you're working in watercolor, especially a long-term project, to be able to tape it down to a surface, all right? You'll need a ruler today or something you can measure with, and then some form of tape. I have painter's tape. Again, if you're in person, I will have these supplies for you. If you're at home, do your best, okay? What I'd like you to go ahead and do first is you're gonna go ahead, measure 1/2 inch on all 4 sides, all right? After you do that, and you're gonna go ahead and make your marks. You know, we've run borders before. You're just essentially creating a 1/2 inch border. You're gonna tape over top of that border with your tape, painter's tape, masking tape. Make sure that it's a nice straight edge. One of the greatest things about watercolor when you tape down is when you get to pull it up at the very end and you have this nice crisp white border because you taped it down properly. One of the worst things that happens is you do all this work on a watercolor and unfortunately you taped it down and it was just a diagonal and then you have this weird white diagonal on the side of your border. So I want you to go ahead and make sure you put on your 1/2 inch borders and then tape it down. After you do that, I would say go ahead and get a white sheet of paper. You can rip it out of your sketchbook as well, and you may need to have some scissors. You could tear it, but just to be cleaner, I want you to go ahead and cut off just a small sliver of that paper, all right? And you're gonna put that right next to it and tape that down as well. And this is gonna be your test paper. All right, this is what you're gonna test your colors on eventually because it's always good to test what color you're actually working with first before you actually put it on your painting. Now today, you know, as much as we know about watercolor now and love watercolor, we're not gonna be painting today. But it is important to prep your board first. So as you can see, I went ahead and taped this down. And your board should look like this. Now, if you're at home, you're probably not gonna have a board. You might be doing this on cardboard or on a table or somewhere where you can go ahead and use this, all right? But I want you to go ahead and make sure that you're doing this before you get started today, all right? Afterwards, I want you sketching in pencil today. So whatever that scene is, you need to sketch it out. This poster is way too much information. You would never be able to get this done in 2 weeks. You're not gonna just do it, all right? It's gonna be too much. So remember we talked about how to crop in. If you're in person, you know, last class we talked about how you could tape off like a small section to crop that in so you know, all right, that's what you're working from, all right? So for instance, instead of working with all this stuff way out here, I would just be working with that little scene right there. All right, that's much more doable and you'll be able to put the quality necessary into that small section. Now today's assignment is twofold. You need to prep the board just like this, and then you need to draw in pencil for the entire class your scene. It should fill the entire paper. It should be accurate. Now I don't know if yours is going to be a long rectangle or a tall rectangle with how you're drawing. Now that will matter, how you're actually putting your proportions in, but I want you to go ahead and have it taped down, prepared, and a drawing on here. Get as much of your drawing done as possible. Next week we're gonna talk about, and here's one that's in the process, how we can actually start our watercolor and what we can do there when we're trying to put that together. So as you can see, there is a purpose behind this. I'm excited for you guys to start this, but I want you to prep your paper and also to work on your sketch just in pencil, really light, because we'll be getting into watercolor next week. All right, everybody, good luck and message me with questions.